Hello and welcome. In today's video, we will break down the key differences between the old baggage rules and the newly notified baggage rules of 2026. We'll discuss everything you need to know, from practical airport handling, especially for laptops brought in hand baggage, to how the new rules affect goods entering SEZ and IFSC units. This guide is designed for travelers and professionals alike who need to stay compliant with the latest customs and SEZ regulations. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This video provides general guidance. The final decision always rests with customs authorities and any applicable notifications. In this video, I will explain the key differences between the earlier baggage rules and the newly notified baggage rules 2026. I will also cover practical airport handling. What to say if customs asks questions, especially for laptops brought in hand baggage. Finally, we will discuss the impact if such goods are taken into SEZ or IFSC units, typical non-compliances, and how to regularize. The government has updated the baggage framework to simplify procedures, enhance transparency, and enable electronic and advanced declarations. The key updates include higher duty-free limits, clearer transfer of residence benefits, jewelry allowance changes, the duty-free import of one laptop for passengers aged 18 and above, provisions for pets, and clearer facilitation for temporary imports and re-imports. Let's start with the highest impact changes. The general duty-free allowance has increased from 50,000 rupees to 75,000 rupees for eligible passengers arriving by air or sea. The foreign tourists allowance has increased from 15,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees. Crew allowance has also gone up from 1,500 rupees to 2,500 rupees. For jewelry, the old value and weight caps have been replaced with a weight-only limit. One of the most practical changes is that one laptop is now clearly allowed duty-free for passengers above 18 years. The transfer of residence limits have been increased and simplified. Temporary import and re-import processes are now more structured and require certificates. Finally, declarations are moving toward electronic and advanced processing. Under the new rules, most passengers arriving by air or sea can bring goods up to 75,000 rupees duty-free, subject to exclusions like alcohol, tobacco, and prohibited items. Foreign tourists, however, can bring up to 25,000 rupees. If you arrive by land border, the general duty-free allowance does not apply. Only used personal effects are typically permitted. Let's talk about jewelry. Previously, both weight limits and value caps were imposed, which caused issues, especially when gold prices fluctuated. The new rules simplify this by introducing a weight-only limit. Women can bring up to 40 grams and men up to 20 grams duty-free. Customs often checks if the jewelry appears to be for personal use or for commercial resale. The key here is to carry jewelry in a way that suggests personal use, avoid carrying multiple identical pieces, and have basic proof of ownership if available. Now let's address laptops. Under the new rules, one laptop is allowed duty-free for passengers aged 18 and above. Customs, however, may ask several questions. They will typically focus on how many laptops are you carrying? Is the laptop new or used? Are you carrying it in sealed packaging? Is it for resale? If you're carrying a used laptop, such as a work laptop, it generally qualifies as a personal effect. If it's new, one unit is still allowed duty-free, but it's best to keep the invoice handy. When you arrive at the airport, you'll need to decide which channel to go through. If you're within your allowance and only carrying personal items, you can use the green channel. If you have multiple electronics, an extra laptop, or high-value goods, you should take the red channel and make a declaration. Voluntary declarations help avoid allegations of concealment and reduce the risk of penalties. When you arrive at the airport, you'll need to decide which channel to go through. If you're within your allowance and only carrying personal items, you can use the green channel. If you have multiple electronics, an extra laptop, or high-value goods, you should take the red channel and make a declaration. Voluntary declarations help avoid allegations of concealment and reduce the risk of penalties. Bringing goods the wrong way doesn't necessarily mean you're breaking the law, but it does mean you didn't follow the correct import procedure. Risky situations include carrying multiple laptops, sealed units suggesting resale, not declaring items when required, or bringing business equipment into SEZ or IFSC units without the proper documentation. The most serious risk is when goods are later used as business assets inside SEZ or IFSC units without a clear import paper trail. To regularize a wrongly brought laptop, the strategy depends on intent. If the laptop is staying in India and is dutiable, the safest method is voluntary disclosure and duty payment. Keep the invoice, serial number, value basis, and travel details handy. If it's temporary and will be taken back out of India, document it as a temporary import, ensuring re-export, and provide a certificate or record of the declaration. If the laptop is being used inside an SEZ or IFSC, inform the specified officer and file the required documentation to regularize it. When it comes to accounting for laptops, it depends on ownership and compliance. If the laptop is a business asset, account for it only after having proper compliance documentation. Keep proof of ownership transfer and customs clearance. If the laptop is owned by a foreign company and temporarily used, treat it as an asset on loan and document it as such. The key takeaway is never record assets in the books without a proper legal trail of import and ownership. In SEZ and IFSC environments, compliance expectations are higher. If you hand carry a laptop and it enters the unit without the proper import documents, the unit may face audit objections. While SEZ imports are typically duty-free, missing paperwork can cause complications. Without the proper documentation, there may also be issues when moving goods to the domestic tariff area later or during disposal. Always ensure the import trail is maintained to avoid complications. To regularize in SEZ or IFSC, follow these steps. Identify the item and its serial number. Document who carried it and why. Inform SEZ Customs or the specified officer and file the required bill of entry or documentation. Once regularized, update the unit's fixed asset register and maintain an audit trail to demonstrate proactive compliance. Before traveling, do a quick checklist. Count your devices. Remember the one laptop rule. If carrying a new laptop, keep the invoice. If it's a company-owned laptop, carry an authorization letter. For SEZ or IFSC equipment, don't rely on passenger baggage as a substitute for formal import procedures. Pre-plan your documentation. To summarize, the new baggage rules 2026 offer greater benefits with higher duty-free limits, clearer allowances for laptops and jewelry, and improved passenger facilitation. However, for business use, especially in SEZ and IFSC, documentation and compliance are still crucial. This video is intended to provide general guidance, but remember, the final decision lies with customs and applicable notifications. Moonsys and Management Consultants LLP, a trusted partner for SEZ and IFSC excellence. A pioneer in establishing SEZ and IFSC units within Gift City and India, delivering end-to-end IFSC setup. Operational support and handling complaints, risk management renowned for deep expertise in regulatory approvals, capital markets, fund management, insurance, finance company, foreign university BATF, and ancillary regulations and fintech, expertise in customs clearance for aircraft and ship procurement, leasing, GST, DSPF, IFSCA comprehensive support covering registration, reporting, and regulatory transitions, ensuring ring fencing, transparency, and global compliance standards. Join our network, scan the QR codes below to stay connected with us.